Dogumentary TV, producing the best breed documentaries on YouTube.
My name's Rick Kiner with R Kennels. Dog is man's best friend, right? And I truly believe that. I'm a dog guy through and through. So I truly believe there's nothing like a dog to man, right? Whether any animal on the planet, there's nothing like a dog, regardless what breed we're talking about. But for me, the Presa is my particular breed of choice, and a lot of that ties to just lifestyle and what the breed can deliver. I think every breed is specific to certain people and their lifestyles and what they expect out of that. I'm not an overly athletic guy that goes out running 5-10 miles every morning. I like a dog that's inside my house and kind of relaxes. And the Presa kind of fits the bill for all that stuff. It's definitely a dog that can get up and exercise, has athleticism to him, doesn't need overly exerted exercise. Light runs, light walks every day is enough for these guys. If you got a yard the size these guys need to move around, oftentimes that's enough exercise if they're protecting their property and running up and down the yard all day long. So for me, it's the perfect breed to match my lifestyle and some of the things that I need from a working breed like the Presa can deliver. My history with dogs goes all the way back to my beginnings. I come from a lifelong of watching my father, Richard Carl Kiner, who bred, showed, judged, and did all those things all those years. So I'm 45 years old, and as far back as I can remember, I've been surrounded with dogs, and my fiber of my being is tied to dogs, and Mastiff bully breeds in particular. My father, in a nutshell, starting in Indonesia, moving to the Netherlands, and then coming to the US in 1960, was tied to a lot of Molosser European breeds. So he started, his first imported breed to this country was the Bouvier de Flandres, which is a Dutch dog and a working breed dog, protection dog. So that was one of the first dogs that he worked with. Shortly after that, it was the Rottweiler in the 70s, Dobermans, and then leading into the Bordeauxs, Mestina Neapolitans, Cane Corsos, and Presas. Having a high exposure to these breeds, right, and kind of really getting not just a glance at them or subjected to them from time to time, but really knowing what the breeds are about. And at the time, when I started breeding Presas, which was in 1998, I wanted a little bit more of an aggressive dog. I was 22 years old. I liked the fact that the Presa carried a little more tenacity than, let's say, a Bordeaux or a Cane Corso. There's plenty of people that look at that on the contrast and say exactly the opposite. They want something a little bit in between, and I think those other breeds deliver that perfectly. The Presa is, in my opinion, a little bit more dicey of a breed, a little bit more raw. Their origins, tying back to dog fighting and everything, made them a little bit more dog aggressive than some of the other breeds. So that was one of the honest answer. One of the initial things that drew me to them was that rawness of them. And after working with them all these years, I know just how tame they can be, how well behaved they can be in a family environment with kids and everything else. So that balance for me of a real raw protector dog that takes a firm hand and an alpha owner that understands how to raise them, but still a very social dog and balanced dog that you can trust, was exactly what I wanted. So that's what drew me and separated the Presa from any other breed, really, in that Mastiff lineage, different than any other breed. Really, it goes back to the 30s, right? The Presa was created in a combination of things. One, to match up with the Bardino Margero and be more of a catch dog, right? That could protect against wolves and wild dogs that were coming into these parts of Spain where their livestock was being affected, and the dogs at that time, the native dogs, weren't able to protect the way a Presa could. So these guys were out there creating a dog that could could protect against formidable opponents. And but really the real answer is they were dogfighting dogs. And so they were created in the 30s, and at the time when dogfighting was a big thing. And flashing forward 20 years into the 50s, that dogfighting was abolished and they did away with it. And the Presa started dying away with it as well. Then go forward another 20 years, and guys like Manuel Cuerto were responsible for kind of resurrecting the breed, introducing dogs from abroad, bull mastiff, bull terriers, mastiffs, other bull baiting breeds that they would introduce to the native dogs to develop the Presa and bring it back to where it was. So the origins of that were really dogfighting and the necessity of a working dog, the combination of the two. Well, the standards are a little different than, quite honestly, than what we see in a lot of the dogs out there today. So if you look at the males, according to the standard, they'll tell you it should be 24 to 26 inches in height, right? 100-pound minimum, 125-pound maximum on males. Females go from 22.5 to 24.5 inches. With the weights being, I think, 88, 90 pounds up to 100 on the females. We're seeing a lot bigger dogs today out there. I try and keep my line as a working line and real close to that standard. We have a few dogs that have gone a little over the 125, close to 135, but our ideal dog is a Rux type dog. He's 8 years old now, but his top weight was right around 125. And so we try and keep it right in that standard. That's the basic height, weight standard. The description of the breed is, you know, a large, strong head, medium length muzzle, light jowls. You want to have some extra skin in there, but not excessively, nothing like a Bordeaux or a Mastino. Deep, wide set chest. You want a little bit of a raised rear end with the rear quarters. Everything should always be straight, right? Front and rear, nothing hawked out or splayed. Their feet are cat-like, and they're described very much as cat-like in movement. They walk kind of 1 foot in front of the other. What else? Their coat should be short, dense, coarse. They range in colors from a light sand all the way to a dark brown, black brown brindles, everything in between. Their bite should be preferably a scissor bite. You could have a light underbite, but shouldn't see anything excessive. Definitely not a straight bite. Eyes should be slightly ovaled, always black eyelids. Tail should be set high, thick at the base, and taper down. I think that's pretty much it for the FCI standard of them. So my personal dogs are basic protection, working dogs. I don't do any hunting with them. I got a lot of my customers that do and get plenty of stories and good pictures back from that stuff. They're great boar hunting dogs. But like I said, I don't have any firsthand experience with any of that. I've never taken my dogs out and put them through that type of stuff. You know, I'm vested into this breed. I really feel like I'm gonna be a lifetime into this breed. And the more I look at the history of the breed and where we're going with it forward, things stand out to me. For example, you know, I told you I started in '98 with this breed. 2001, this breed kind of stepped into the spotlight with a lady named Diane Whipple, who was attacked up in San Francisco, Pacific Palisades area, and she was killed. And it was because there was some people that had a set of these dogs, a male and a female, and they had these dogs trained to fight, trapped in an apartment. They got out of the apartment and killed this lady, 28-year-old lady. And at that time, this was the first exposure the breed had to the United States, period. People were hearing about the breed for the first time. And you flash forward, and I'm not sure what year Michael Vick had his run-in with the pit bulls and the Presas, right? But if you look at guys like me that have decades of work into the breed and trying my best to put them in the right light and put them in people's hands that will display them and get the breed recognized for what it deserves to be recognized for, as a true, balanced, trustworthy, loyal companion, right? They get thrown out there as villains, and insurance companies blackball them. There's places you can't live if you own dogs like this. And so I look at things like that, and I think it's super important. It's imperative that guys like me that are raising these dogs and putting them out there, that they put them in the right hands, right? And I know that's more of a 101 for breeds in general, but with the Presa, it's a different breed, right? And you can't compare it to a golden retriever or a dog that you don't have those same high level risk, because the truth is the Presa does carry a lot of risk with it. It's a dog that is capable of doing a lot of damage, and in the wrong hands it will. And so you need a responsible and above average owner to handle a dog like this. You need a person that has had a history with similar breeds, right? And understands they have to play an alpha role, and they have to truly be the leading role in that relationship, or that dog will take that lead. So I look at that as really the future of this breed, and how are we handling it. And sure, there's a lot of breeding logistics and conversations there that we could have, from hips and elbows to temperaments and everything else, and what we're doing there. But you know, at the end of the day, if the breed is not handled with more care, and we're not doing the proper service of bringing it into the light in the right way, and making people look at the breed in a different way maybe than they have over the past couple decades, we're really cornering the breed, and we're putting it in a bad spot to ever really be handled and looked at properly. That's what I think about when I think about the future of the breed and what we're doing as the breeders to it, because there's only a handful of people that are truly raising these dogs, and so that community needs to be aware of what we're doing and where it's headed. But I pray that the breed itself can continue being a working breed dog, that it stays close enough to its roots, that it's not bred out of the dog, right, so that it turns into a different breed, because I believe the Presa has to stay a working breed dog, or it becomes something else entirely, and maybe we have another name for it in another 10 or 20 years. So preservation of the breed and proper handling and responsibility would be my quick answer on what's the future of this breed.